Let me get this straight, I said, gripping my phone tightly as I stood in my kitchen. You took Emma's college fund and gave it to your son's new baby? Well, technically it was a joint account, my mother-in-law, Barbara, replied with that familiar condescending tone. And let's be honest, Sophia, Emma isn't really family. She's adopted. Little James is my actual grandchild. He needs a proper start in life. My name is Sophia Mitchell, and at 35, I just discovered my mother-in-law had emptied my daughter's college savings account, money I'd been carefully setting aside since I adopted Emma 8 years ago. The account had been set up jointly with Barbara because, at the time, she'd insisted on contributing monthly to show her support. What a joke that turned out to be. That money was for Emma's education, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. She's your granddaughter, adopted or not. Barbara's laugh was sharp, cutting. Oh, please. You've always been so dramatic, Sophia. Emma's what, 10 now? She probably won't even go to college. Besides, James is only 6 months old. He needs this investment more. Think of his future. I thought about Emma, upstairs in her room working on her science project. My brilliant, beautiful daughter who'd already decided she wanted to be a marine biologist. Who'd been through enough abandonment in her short life without her grandmother stealing her future. How much did you take? I asked, though I already knew. I checked the account this morning after receiving a withdrawal notification. All of it, Barbara said proudly. $48,000. I've already transferred it to James's new trust fund. Sarah is so grateful. Finally, a proper grandchild to spoil. Sarah, my husband Mark's brother's new wife. They'd had James 6 months ago, and suddenly Barbara had found her real grandchild. The past 8 years of Emma's life apparently meant nothing. I see, I said calmly. And does Mark know about this? Oh, don't drag Mark into this, Barbara scoffed. He understands family priorities, even if you don't. Blood is thicker than water, Sophia. I looked at the family photos on our wall. Emma's adoption day, her first day of school, holidays, birthdays, 8 years of memories with Barbara right there in the pictures, smiling her fake smile. How long had she been planning this? Thank you for letting me know, I said, my voice ice cold. Goodbye, Barbara. I hung up before she could respond and immediately called my lawyer, Diana. We'd worked together on Emma's adoption, and she'd become a close friend. She did what? Diana's voice rose in disbelief as I explained the situation. Sophia, that's theft. Joint account or not, there's documentation that this was specifically Emma's college fund. We can fight this. Good, I said, pulling out my laptop, because I have something else to tell you. Remember that trust fund my parents left me? The one Barbara doesn't know about? Diana's tone shifted. I could hear her smile. The one worth 3 times what she stole. Oh, this is going to be good. I want to set up an ironclad college fund for Emma, I said, typing as we talked. One that Barbara can never touch. And then I want to make sure she understands exactly what she's done. I'll have the paperwork ready by tomorrow, Diana replied. But Sophia, what about Mark? He needs to know what his mother did. I glanced at the clock. Mark would be home from his business trip in an hour. He's about to find out, and he's going to have to choose his mother's bigotry or his daughter's future. After hanging up with Diana, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared in the kitchen doorway, her dark curls pulled back in a ponytail, her science textbook clutched to her chest. Mom, she said hesitantly, is everything okay? I heard you talking. I crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Actually, how about we take a break from homework? Let's go get ice cream. Her face lit up. Really? Can we go to that place with a sprinkle station? Absolutely. And while we're there, we can talk about your marine biology dreams. I want to hear everything. As we drove to the ice cream parlor, I glanced at Emma in the rearview mirror, watching her face light up as she talked about coral reefs and ocean conservation. Barbara was wrong about so many things, but especially this. Emma wasn't just my daughter, she was my miracle. And no one, not even her grandmother, would steal her future. My phone buzzed with a text from Barbara. Don't tell Mark. It would just upset him unnecessarily. This is for the best. I smiled, thinking of the trust fund paperwork Diana was preparing. Barbara had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's letting people reveal their true colors while you quietly build something better. The ice cream parlor was quiet for a Tuesday afternoon. As Emma created her masterpiece at the sprinkle station, I made a few more calls. By the time Mark got home, everything would be in motion. Barbara thought she was protecting her real family's future. She was about to learn what protecting family really meant. Mark arrived home that evening to find Emma and me in the living room, surrounded by photo albums and trust fund documents. His smile faltered as he took in the scene. "What's going on?" he asked, setting down his briefcase. "Why are there legal papers on the coffee table?" "Daddy?" Emma ran to hug him, then returned to her spot on the floor, flipping through photos of her adoption day. I could see Barbara and many of them standing at the edges, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. "Your mother called today," I said calmly. "She had some interesting news about Emma's college fund." Mark loosened his tie, sinking into his armchair. "What about it?" "It's gone. All $48,000. Your mother transferred it to James's trust fund because, in her words, Emma isn't her real grandchild." The color drained from Mark's face. "She what?" I handed him my phone, playing the recorded conversation. Barbara's voice filled the room, each cruel word about Emma cutting through the air. Emma pretended to focus on her photos, but I saw her shoulders tense. "Emma, sweetheart," I said softly, "why don't you go up and finish your science project? Dad and I need to talk." Once Emma was upstairs, Mark exploded. "She can't do this. That money was for Emma's education. How dare she?" He stopped, running his hands through his hair. "I'll call her right now." "Already taken care of," I said, passing him Diana's preliminary paperwork. "I've spoken with our lawyer. We can fight this, Mark, but I need to know you're with me. Really with me." "Of course I am. Emma is my daughter." "And your mother's actions?" He slumped in his chair. I knew she was excited about James, but this is unforgivable. She's always made little comments about adoption, but I never thought she'd go this far. My phone buzzed with another text from Barbara. "Mark's home now. Remember, this is a family matter. No need for lawyers." "She doesn't want you to know," I said, showing him the message. "She thinks she can manipulate the situation like she always does." Mark's jaw tightened. "Not this time." "What do you need me to do?" I pulled out another set of papers. "First, I'm transferring money from my parents' trust fund into a new account for Emma. One that's legally protected and completely separate from your family. Second, we're going to let your mother think she's one, for now." "What do you mean?" "Tomorrow is her weekly dinner with her church friends. The same friends she's been bragging to about her new grandson while dismissing Emma. I think it's time they learn what kind of Christian woman she really is." Mark's eyes widened. "You're going to expose her." "No," I smiled. "She's going to expose herself." Just then my phone rang. It was Sarah, James's mother. "Sophia?" I just found out what Barbara did. I had no idea she took Emma's college fund. We never asked for that money. James has his own savings from my parents." "I believe you," I said, putting the phone on speaker. "But the money's already in James's account." "We're transferring it back," Sarah said firmly. "All of it. I'm so sorry. I knew Barbara was weird about Emma being adopted, but this is horrible. Tom is furious. He's on the phone with the bank right now." I caught Mark's eye. His brother and sister-in-law's support was unexpected but welcome. "Thank you, Sarah," I said. "But keep the money for now. Trust me." After hanging up, I explained my plan to Mark. His mother had spent years building an image of the perfect grandmother, the pillar of her community. But her mask was about to slip. "Are you sure about this?" Mark asked. "Remember last Christmas," I said, when she gave James a savings bond but told Emma she was teaching her the value of earning things herself? Or Emma's last birthday, when she said adopted children shouldn't expect the same gifts as natural grandchildren? Mark nodded slowly. "She's been showing us who she is all along. We just didn't want to see it." "Well, now everyone's going to see it." Later that night, after checking on Emma, who was indeed finishing her science project, I sent Barbara a message. "You're right. Blood is thicker than water. Family comes first. Looking forward to seeing you at church tomorrow." Her reply was immediate. "I knew you'd understand, dear. You're learning." I smiled, thinking of Diana's paperwork, Sarah's phone call, and tomorrow's church gathering. Barbara thought she was teaching me about family. Instead, she was about to learn that real family, the kind that matters, has nothing to do with blood and everything to do with love. As I got ready for bed, I heard Emma's voice from her room. She was video chatting with her best friend, and Mom says I can definitely still be a marine biologist. We're going to visit the aquarium this weekend to talk to real scientists. Her excitement, her dreams, her future, these were what mattered. Barbara's betrayal had shown her true colors, but it had also given us the chance to build something stronger. Tomorrow would be interesting indeed. Sunday morning arrived bright and clear. I dressed Emma in her prettiest church dress, the one Barbara had criticized as too expensive for everyday children. Mark adjusted his tie, a determined look in his eyes. Barbara was already holding court when we arrived at church, surrounded by her usual circle of admirers. She was showing off photos of James, cooing about her perfect biological grandson. "Oh, Sophia, Mark," she called, her smile faltering slightly when she saw Emma. "I didn't expect you today." "Wouldn't miss it," I said sweetly. "Emma, why don't we show Great Aunt Martha your science project photos?" Emma pulled out her phone, brightening as she shared pictures of her award-winning project on ocean conservation. Martha's eyes widened. "My goodness, what a brilliant girl. And you want to be a marine biologist? Barbara, you must be so proud of your granddaughter." Barbara's smile tightened. "Well, she's not really." "Not really sure where she gets her brains from," Mark interrupted. "Must be from her amazing mom." I noticed Sarah and Tom entering the church, baby James in their arms, right on schedule. "Barbara," Sarah called out, her voice carrying across the church lobby, "we need to discuss the money you took from Emma's college fund." The chattering crowd fell silent. Barbara's face reddened. "Sarah, dear, this isn't the place. You stole from a child," Sarah continued, bouncing James. "Our son doesn't need stolen money. We're here to return it." Barbara's friends turned to stare at her. "Stolen money?" Martha asked. "Barbara, what is she talking about?" "It's a family misunderstanding," Barbara stammered. "I simply redistributed some funds to benefit my real grandchild." "Real grandchild?" Tom's voice boomed. "Are you saying my niece isn't real?" The church lobby had become very quiet. Even the pastor had stopped to listen. "I just mean," Barbara tried again. "You meant that my daughter," I said clearly, "whom you've claimed to love for 8 years, doesn't deserve an education because she's adopted?" "That's not. I was thinking of James's future." "James has a future," Sarah said firmly. "One that doesn't need to be built on stealing from his cousin. We're returning every penny." Barbara looked around desperately, finding only shocked and disappointed faces. Her carefully cultivated image was crumbling. "Perhaps," the pastor said quietly, "we should discuss this in my office. Barbara, your recent behavior seems at odds with our church's teachings about family and love." "I don't need a lecture," Barbara snapped. "Everything I did was for my actual grandchild." Her words echoed in the shocked silence. Several people gasped. Emma, who had been quiet throughout, stepped forward. "It's okay, Grandma," she said softly. "Mom already showed me my new college fund. It's bigger than the one you took. And Mom says real family isn't about blood, it's about love." I placed my hands on Emma's shoulders, feeling them shake slightly but seeing the strength in her stance. "Emma's right," I said, "which is why I wanted to make an announcement." I pulled out an envelope. "We're establishing a scholarship fund at the church. The Emma Mitchell Education Fund, for adopted children who dream of college. We're starting it with $100,000 from my parents' trust fund." Barbara's jaw dropped. "Trust fund? What trust fund?" "The one you never knew about," I smiled. "Sometimes family secrets work both ways." The pastor beamed. "What a wonderful initiative. Barbara, perhaps you'd like to be the first to contribute. Show your support for all children." Barbara looked around the lobby, seeing her social standing evaporate. Years of carefully crafted appearances undone by her own actions. I need to leave," she muttered, gathering her things. "Before you go," Mark said, speaking up, "we've made some changes to our will. Emma's future is secure, and more importantly, she'll be surrounded by people who love her unconditionally. People who understand that family isn't about DNA, it's about choice." As Barbara hurried out, her church friends turned away, Martha's disapproving sniff echoing in the lobby. Later that afternoon, as Emma played with James in our backyard, Sarah approached me. "You know," she said, watching the children, "James is lucky to have Emma as his cousin. Blood doesn't matter, love does." I nodded, watching my daughter show her baby cousin a butterfly that had landed on a flower. Barbara thought she was punishing us. But she just showed us who our real family is. The scholarship fund announcement made the local paper. Barbara's social circle shrank considerably. But more importantly, Emma blossomed, surrounded by people who truly loved her. A week later, we received a letter from Barbara's church. They'd removed her from the social committee and charitable boards. Her carefully built kingdom had crumbled, not through our revenge, but through her own actions. Emma's new college fund grew steadily. Sarah and Tom became regular visitors, determined to ensure their son grew up knowing love matters more than biology. As for Barbara, she learned the hard way that sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. And Emma, she's still planning to be a marine biologist, knowing her future is secure, not despite being adopted, but because she has a family who truly loves her. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well and showing others what real family means.